think you missed it.
Apologies.
You missed my introduction now, Christian.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
then
epic. Do it
so we
again.
can repeat. We can
Yeah, do
go.
it
We
again.
can
Do
go
it
again.
again. Then everyone else is sorted.
Yeah, but I'll just quickly jump in before everyone else takes the rest away. Then, so I liked the thinking. I definitely liked the thinking about validators, or sorry, delegators being suppliers, and that we thought about maybe them being more interested in de-risking their sort of investment into our pools, and learning about sort of added value a little bit more and see what we can then communicate to them so they know what the value is. And yeah, think about that from that point of view. I like it because risk is sort of what I deal with every day in my work anyway. So it kind of is just more of a long-term view, and it fits sort of with the long-term goals that we have, sort of, so it is actually in line with what we're doing, even though it's a fast blockchain world. I think when we are slowly building things, offering proper things, and yeah, not too risky bits to our suppliers or to our delegators is probably a useful kind of viewing point to communicate things from.
Lovely.
Yeah, that's sort of my thought.
Okay.
Okay, I'll go next. What stuck around for me was how to think about as an SPO how we add value and who we add value for. And we came to the conclusion, which is not so straightforward actually, and not so intuitive as you would think. So that made me think a bit, yeah.
Fabulous.
Yeah, we were obviously all expressed that it feels like the structure we're operating in feels like it was a little bit flipped on our head. And it's really interesting when I see us talking about delegators aren't necessarily our customers, it feels almost like a weight is lifted of like we were trying to force ourselves to not necessarily pander, but like beg delegators to come stick around with us. And we couldn't figure out how to do this, and to kind of reframe and say, well, like Christian's saying, if we can just take a little bit more longer term approach and focus on the good work that we're doing, that's what we all like to do anyways. We don't really need to tie ourselves into a knot to do something that might not be aligned with our core business strategy anyways. And I think I thought back a little bit to some of the communication struggles that we had with some of our tweets when we're trying to talk directly to delegators. We always seem to like not be able to get our message out there succinctly, or there was always this, oh, what if about this, or what if somebody reads it like that? And that was all really frustrating. And I find if maybe we're just thinking about, oh, if we're just going to talk to Cardano Foundation or IOG or the system as a whole, instead of targeting individual delegators, maybe that makes our messaging and marketing that much easier too. And we're not going to feel conflicted in some of the statements that we try to put out.
Fabulous. Who else we got? Devon?
If I may, I'm not Devon, but I don't want to speak before my turn as well. Is it okay for you, Devon?
He's driving.
He's driving. He doesn't. No, I wasn't there next week. I cannot say much, but I want to hook on to what Abe said to reach, let's say, entities as a whole and not focus on the individual delegator. I'm the whole time thinking about how to reach people who still stake at an exchange. If you get a message there, let's say, because the fact is, in my eyes, of course, people care about the environment and the climate, but they care a bit more about their own wallet. And for them, what matters most is the rewards. And it's easy in my eyes to get a whole lot new delegators if you get the message out in the exchange, because the exchanges usually have higher fees, and they offer their customers or their delegators less API than individual pool can offer. Now, of course, not a small pool like mine, but if you have a bit bigger pool, you can really offer competitive rewards to delegators in comparison to an exchange. Yeah, this is the thought I'm having, how to reach those people on the exchange. And I have no idea. Advertising on an exchange is not possible, so we need to find another way.
Okay, that's brilliant. And so yeah, so Leah's playing Grand Theft Auto, so he won't be commenting for a while. And who else we got? So John T. So what were you doing this time last week, and what's your key learnings?
I didn't attend last week.
Exactly. That's okay. But what were you doing, and what's been your key learnings?
Well, I've been learning to, yes. Yeah, no, I have quite a lot of experience. I think this will be my third session. So I have everything by memory. I can basically give the full course right here and right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, learning last week was about, again, I followed up on the new proposal for the conditional staking. Quite a lot of impact, a lot of arguments, and people having to learn about it. Personally, I still have to understand what it means. And the new update about the SPOs, again, the role, continuing improving the roles, to see even new updates coming up. I think the peer-to-peer changes can also be helpful for new SPOs or people who do not have a lot of technical knowledge. So I think the SPO's job has been made easier and easier by the day. In terms of technicality, marketing-wise, I support, again, all the arguments made here. In addition to the exchanges, I would say for the SPOs, YouTube is a big element of marketing. Actually, I think the biggest stake pools actually are also big YouTuber. So yeah, so I think the marketing aspect should be focused on where it has a great impact.
Fabulous. Yeah. And so part why we do this, and even though John T wasn't in the same session last time, again, it's just to get you hooked back into the energy. Yeah, because it's a collective thing, it's a community thing. So have we done, everybody? You see, nobody was paying any attention, which is good. Yeah. I think we're all done, aren't we? Yeah, I think we're there.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So look, what I hoovered up from that bit. So yeah, so the first bit that sits in there, and I think this is where Leon was. Yeah, this is about understanding how you and becoming aware of value. Yeah, so it's all tied to your brilliance, but it's about understanding value, but that's commercial value and cultural value. So it's the amount of fee you give people. So it's the transactional stuff, but it's also all the other bits of value you guys add that are not about money. And so the whole gig is, it doesn't matter how it's approached as long as you can capture all of that value. And then it's about making people aware of it yourselves first. So it's about understanding the awareness of value, how you create value, appreciating value, and then realizing value. So realizing value is when you get paid a slice of the value you create. Yeah. And most of us don't get paid anywhere near the value we create, because that's the sort of capitalist system, really. That's how things work. Yeah. So that's all cool. And yeah, like you guys were saying, the other bit for me is focus on your brilliance and the brilliance you guys create, and focus on, and this is the bit we haven't really covered yet, but the additive brilliance of you guys working together. Focus on that, because that's community. And when we went back to, do you remember when we did the thing around, so why are you doing it personally? Well, pretty much for all of you, community was in the mix, wasn't it? It's actually about community. So when you're in community, then your energy is pull energy. So as you guys were again saying, if you can understand what the brilliance is and the value you create as a community, then get it out there so people can see it, then people who share your values and purpose and intent and worth, they will become part of your community. And that's the thing about, you're not trying to push them things. And that's the difference in the marketing, yeah? From our perspective, why we did the stuff originally is because, yeah, when you use very push energy and you do marketing, then you're trying to sell something. And it's totally okay to do that, but understand that's a very different energy to when you're creating a space that people step into and they buy something.
Can you repeat that again, Harry?
So what usually happens is whenever someone is like a good salesman, what it means is they're generally very good at understanding what your objections are to something and then knocking them over. So the energy is very push. They basically beat you into a position where you buy something. Now, you might wanted to buy the thing anyway, but that's the attitude. It's a very masculine energy, but it's very pushy energy and yang energy. And then the other view is, if you're especially building community, then if you step away from something, then you create a void, and then the energy flows into the void. So that's pull energy. That's where you guys set out where you are, where you're off to. You start going on your journey, and that creates a vacuum. And the people who want to be on the journey with you, they follow you. So it's a pull energy. Now, either way, you do have to promote that. The pull energy often is more like these days, it'd be one-on-one, so word of mouth marketing. Yeah, now that can still be on the internet, can't it? It can still be on Twitter, but word of mouth marketing is the referral marketing. That's a different type of marketing to sales marketing. Yeah. And this is the thing sometimes people get confused with. They confuse the channel with the intent. Now, if you have a community, you would like people to come to your community because they share an intent or a value or a vision or a purpose. They share something with you. Now, again, this is exactly what Leon was saying. There's no distinction about, financial returns are good and cultural returns are bad, or impact, cultural impact returns are bad, or the other way around. There's no need to make that judgment. It's just, people will come to you for different reasons. And there are a lot of people out there that will come to you because they can make a higher rate of return on their investment in terms of cash with you, i.e. their Lambos. Now, there's nothing wrong with that if that's where you're happy to have part of your portfolio of products you provide. Yeah. But the message in there for you guys is absolutely what you've started to say. You express your brilliance. You understand the value you create, and you put that out there. And the people who have a similar intent to do the same thing, they will be the ones that come to you. And you'll serve them better because you're going to be more aligned.
That makes sense, because I think this is quite true. If we, as Abe said earlier as well, we were trying to directly almost do that push energy on the delegators or the people what we want to get into the system, and it just didn't work. It just didn't fall on fertile ground. And when you say, just do what you do good, what you do best, work on that and build a community, or just, focus on the good stuff and get that as a marketing aspect, and not trying to speak to any one individual person per se. It sort of already makes sense to click to my head that, yeah, it totally would work a lot better, because you feel more comfortable talking about it, more proud about it, and you're not trying to sell something or upmarket something or polish it, or you're just talking because you're proud, you feel excited about what you're doing, and the right people will be drawn into the space.
Yeah. Other observations? How does that sort of sit with you guys?
Sounds very logical. The question is how to reach those people. For me, I have all 16 Twitter followers, right? So
no,
doesn't do a lot.
Start somewhere.
and that's where we will come to part of that. That is a little bit of the program, but the main bit is to get you into a space of understanding what your brilliance is and who values it that you value. That's the point, isn't it? Yeah. Cool. Any other comments on that?
Yeah, I would just say that we generally, I think we're quite good at getting individuals on board. So that chimes in. I mean, we actually, if we have a bit of time with someone, once you meet them and you explain them what you're doing, they usually stick around, or they want to join. So that works, but it's a one-by-one. It's not a fast process.
And there's a way of making it faster, Christian. That's one of the things when we do channel, we'll look at that a bit, but that's the thing that's based around risk. And okay, that's fab. So look, the last bit on that, because we'll go onto the board now, but the last bit on that is none of this. So when we do this stuff, the values, if you remember, are open, honest, and fair. So open means full participation. Yeah, even if you're driving. Honest means speak your truth. And sometimes that means you speak your truth to yourself when you're not comfortable talking about something, or when you don't talk about something you could. And fair just means no judgment. So that's the thing that says, okay, lots of people have values, and this is the problem with these words. Yeah, so they value something. Yeah, so when something happens, you do something, like you put a press release out and you only have 16 Twitter followers or whatever. They will say, oh, they will judge it, and they will say, yeah, well, that was rubbish. You were bad. That was rubbish. The non-judgmental way, as you guys know, is you don't make assumptions, which is the arse out of you and me. Yeah, you make assertions, or you make assessments. So you try something, it worked, it didn't work, don't worry about it. The thing is, what do we need to change to make it better? So that's the core of this stuff. People very easily get into judgments and, well, you tried this, it was rubbish, you're rubbish. This is quite an important one in community. And then what does it mean for you guys? We're not making a judgment here that having a community that's really strong, yeah, and a really strong culture with a really strong purpose. So it starts from purpose. Yeah, so that's your spirit, that's your nature, the why question. Then it goes out to culture, then it goes out to governance, and it goes out to structure, and then it goes out to commercials, and then culturals. But in that main space, it's not saying that someone that builds a community, it has to be a cultural community. So Jonathan Adji and myself are part of I think what it's called, the International Academy of Wealth, I think it is. And they are quite impactful, but they're there to make money. So that whole community is there to get the best rate of return they can on something. So they're highly commercial, and it's a fantastic community to be in. So it's not saying, oh yeah, if you've got a community and you focused on, getting a better rate of return for your delegators, then you're bad. No, it's just different. And with you guys, like we talked about before, it may well be, especially when you're starting out, you'll know this, if you started an enterprise or a business, you may well start off in the space where Leon was talking about. you actually need a certain amount of delegators to get enough on board to get them into block. And that may mean then that there aren't enough impactful ones out there for you. So you start off more focused on the return that you're paying back. And that's okay. Because over time, your intent is to move into your impactful space. So I know I've talked on that one, but it's an important stuff. You know, this is about brilliance, community, and this is about, there's no right or wrong. There's just different ways of approaching it. Yeah. And the other bit there was, yeah, the channels, Twitter, talking to people face to face, going and doing presentations, sticking stuff on YouTube, whatever you do, they're all good. But it's what are you going to do with it? And I would suggest for you guys, if you focus on community, that's about relationships. So that's building assets. And all of this stuff, if you remember what we looked at before, yeah, it's okay to have money today. It's okay to build capability today. But if you can build some excess and then you spin that up and invest in assets, either commercial ones like kit or cultural ones like community, that's what's going to set you apart, because that's the snowball. Yeah. So what are we going to do today then, guys? What do you think we're going to do now? We did sort of the business model a bit, and we got a bit into product and a little bit into customers and product. And we talked a little bit about market, because those are the things that are all spin together. Yeah. Your product, your customers, your market, and your channels. Those are your engine. So what do you think we might be up to today? In fact, if you're on the list, you would have had the amazing email-y type thing.
Yeah, we sure have.
What's
Yeah.
that?
So-
What amazing email.
It drops you there into input and adding value and then output to the customer. I'm not sure if I'm in the right place, but
Yep, that's the baby. Oh, hang on a sec. What's going on here? Hang on a sec. This is the trouble when you've got about 15 things open, isn't it? Okay, so look, are you guys on your board, on the star board, the main board? And John T, do you need the link for that? And
Yes,
Leon?
please. I haven't received it yet.
Right, I can do that. And one of the guys will beat me to it, but I can copy the board link and then we can put it in the Zoomy thing, can't we? All right, here we go. He says if he can find the chat. Right, here we go. So yeah, for you guys, that's the link to the board for you. Yeah. Put that out of the way. And again, we can share the screen or we can work on the board direct, whatever works best for you guys.
I think it's good if you share in the beginning just to find our way, and then everyone,
Cool.
I think.
So I'll tell you what I'm going to do then. So if you guys are on the main board, then if you go, so go down to where it says, I think we're on customer proposition. So if you go to the first black one, yeah, which is customer proposition. Yeah. And then again, there's a little link there that will go to another board. So it's in the bit that says business. And if you click on that, that's the baby. Yeah. So click on the little Miro thing that gets smaller as you try and click on it. Some ridiculous thing. There's two of you sat there, I think. And that'll take you out to the product board. Yeah. So just in case, I'm going to copy that link as well and stick that.
I'm a bit lost. Are you guys here with me or?
Yeah. Don't worry. Don't worry.
Can't click on it really.
Yeah, don't worry. I'm going to stick it in the chat as well. So that's the board that we want to end up on. Yeah, are we there? And I'll share the screen now, and then you'll see what we're talking about. Yay!
Be cool.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
are we there? Yeah, some of us are. Okay. So look, what we've got, if you remember last time, so what we were looking at, And again, John T will have seen a bit of this from before. So we looked at the product, didn't we? So we looked at the different things that you could do. And then we looked at the markets. So again, if you go back into the main board and you look down the left-hand side, there are the presentations in there. And under the product one, there's a customer presentation and a product. And then under product, there's a product presentation. And under market, there's a market presentation. But they're all the spins on the same thing. Yeah, but this is all how you show up as your little amoeba in the world. So I'm going to make this bigger now. So do you remember before we looked at this bit, didn't we? And we said, right, as a stake pool operator, what do you get up to? And outways, so horizontally, you mint blocks, and you do that for Cardano or another blockchain. And Cardano's customer is someone who's going to use an app or build an app that's on the network. So that's your that's your customer view of the world. And then we said, yeah, okay, so what's this business about delegators? And we said, right, okay, the issue is that it's like, and again, my analogies are always rubbish, and they're fairly deliberately so. But it's like your James Bond in Casino Royale. Yeah, you can't get to the table to play the game unless you've got the stake. And it's the delegators who give you the stake. They delegate their cash to you. That allows you the credibility to mint a block. Is that all fair enough?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then if you remember, we then said, well, there is stake pool operations, but you guys are masters at this. There are other products that you can provide as well. And some you might charge for and some you might not, but they all add value. And then we said, right, okay, when we look at the different people you could have as delegators, then we started to say, right, okay, there are guys that are in Catalyst and they're delegating. There are guys in Catalyst that don't delegate. Yeah. Oh, sorry, stake. And then there are guys that have ADA that stake and guys that have ADA who don't stake. And then moving out again, this is answering your question, Leon. Then there's stuff in there. There are people who've got crypto who stake and people who've got crypto who don't stake. And then there are people who invest. Yeah. There are people who invest, but not in crypto. However, all of those guys are investors. And this is your onion as it gets bigger. And then for you guys, generally, so this was the thing that we said. The issue is if you're only targeting those little purpley bits down there, if you're only targeting the people in Catalyst who already stake, that's a very small market. And also energetically, you're trying to steal the lunch from someone else in Catalyst that's probably got a similar sort of view of the world as yourselves. Yeah. So that was where we were sort of coming from. Yeah. Now, the bit we're going to do today then, we're going to go down and we can, if we now look at, let's see what we've got. Okay. So this one then, one way of looking at the world is to take, sorry, I'm messing you about when I find it. One view of the world is to take the is to take the products and look at this one's both, yeah. So this one that's down below where we were, if we were to do products and markets and lay them out against each other, then the rows are products. So the sort of products you could have, and this is where you're going to do your sticky in a minute, but typically your basic product with a stake pool is to stake, is it not? And then, so you run the stake pool, but you could also run wallets, couldn't you? Or you could also do education. You could have consultancy. So the first thing for you guys, if you can grab some stickies, is to just, let's have a look at from your point of view with your community, because the whole point about community is you can offer different products, can't you? So for you guys, if you grab some stickies, I'll stop sharing. There we go. Yeah. So what I'd say, just grab some stickies and have a crack at what products you feel.
What is sticky?
The sticky notes, which are on they're on the
Got it.
side.
Oh, I've got mine. Yeah, thanks.
Sorry, I just assume that because
No.
I'm not technologically advanced. Yeah, I sort of assume everyone knows what's going
I've got
on.
a backseat driver. Yeah.
That was a very good question, though.
So where do you want these stickies? I still don't get the table, to be honest.
Yeah. So okay, well, let's do it again. So, so who asked that?
Me, Christian.
Okay, Christian. So look, we're looking at when you started the community, and you started your community. Let's take that view. When you started the community, what products did you think? So the only column you should be in is that left-hand column that says product. Yeah.
Mhm.
So when you started the community, what products did you think you would have as an SPO community, and what products did you think you would have as an SPO operator? And I'll give you your first one. One of your products was a stake pool. But what other products have you launched, or did you think of launching, or you could have launched? So we've got carbon accounting down here, yeah? So that's what we need to put in that left-hand column that says product. We can lose that column because that's the blockchain column. So that's Cardano. So we don't need that one. Yeah. So is that making sense? Are we sort of getting there? Are we done?
You're gonna put that up there, Rick.
Yeah.
The NFT stuff.
Where am I going? Up here.
I don't know. It's just search. Just
It was the left first column, the grey column, isn't it?
No,
Yeah.
it's in the first column, yeah.
Oh, sorry.
And,
that-
and you don't have to stick it in the table as long as we can see the different things because they're all products, aren't we? And we'll group them up.
Yeah. This is a tricky one to define nicely for me, actually. But it ties in with those first sort of visions we had in a way, to some degree, if you think about it.
Yeah. Abe's just causing mayhem now.
Where is Ape? Where's it?
He's just dropping them all over the place. Doesn't care.
We should
Reckless
design
abandon.
a little a game where you can
Yeah.
chase each other.
Yeah. And like I say, don't worry, because I haven't locked it off, so don't worry too much about the table and stuff. It's just the products. We can sort them out and make them pretty later. Yeah. So are we sort of there? Have we got a sort of view? And if so, if you can all see that page, John T, are you in there?
No, I can't access it now, but once I get on my laptop, I'll be able to go to the mirror board.
Okay, right. So you can't see anything.
I saw it when you presented.
Oh, well, tell me, you plonker. Oh, but I can share again. Yeah. So hang on a sec. So you can see the screen now, yeah?
Yes.
Right, okay. So yeah, look, what the guys are doing and are just listing potential products you could have that you could offer as a product or service. Yeah. And particular what we're doing is so does somebody want to talk us through what we've got? Yeah.
So I can start with mine if no one else is saying anything.
Go on, Rick.
Yeah.
Because I had the NFT bonus reward, so I've minted some NFTs that will provide delegators or suppliers with extra rewards. So I'm sharing some of my pool operators' income.
Yeah.
I'm
going to swap screens. Hang on a sec. Carry on. Sorry.
Yeah. So I'm sharing that, so they get a cut of that fixed fee, and it's a guarantee. Then 1%, 2%, or whatever. Each NFT's got a different return basis, and so that's one thing. If you own such an NFT, you will then get part of the operator share of that. And then there's long-term visions and values that I see that gives more towards Cardano as IOHK, as an ecosystem as a whole, where that becomes an educational hub and utilizes the blockchain and Cardano's features into a real-life, real-fi scenario. But this is, again, a bit of a chicken and egg thing where that comes later, and I need the support before that can be realized.
That's fabulous. And what else we got? What other products have you got or you could have?
Well, we have our utility tokens. We have created our CNCRLA tokens, which currently as a value have sort of, they will be exchangeable for the NFTs of our partner projects. But they're also sort of a voting token, and you know, it basically enables people to become part of the whole project by just showing the tokens, if you like. They're also by itself an art project, the token, as they are designed by our in-house artist, by Devon here, if he's still listening. Yeah, so that's obviously a big thing for the ISPO, sort of as a stake pool offering. And then, of course, we are a community that we are offering for everyone to join and participate in a common vision to support, in this case, a permaculture project. Yeah. And we can see that permaculture project grow. Yeah, so that's sort of pretty cool offering, I think.
Fabulous. So that's all very nice. So how much of this have you actually written down explaining the value to your potential markets?
Well, we have tweeted quite a bit about it.
Boring.
We've had Twitter spaces about it.
Where's your document that explains all your products with all the values or the value it adds to different communities? Have you done that document yet?
We do have a white paper that explains this, sort of.
Yeah, so you lied. So again, I'm starting to understand you guys better every time we have a session. So, and this is the thing, yeah. The problem with white papers is how many people are going to read a white paper. Exactly. Not even you guys have read your white paper. Yeah.
Of course we did. We wrote.
There's a
Yeah,
handful of us that have, yeah.
yeah, that's what you say. Dream on.
I'm sure everyone here has read every line.
At least 12 times. And so look, this is the thing with this stuff, yeah.
I have.
And this is the marketing, positioning, community stuff. So you guys do all this brilliance. You come up with all this amazing stuff. And that's great. That's building the product, the education platform. The next bit then is just doing the next 10, 15% and finishing it off so that it can be used in other places. Yeah. And so that's my first, that's the action points. Yeah. Assign someone or a group of you, go back over your white paper, pull out the products, make this list a big list, and next to the list, define what the product actually is. Yeah. And then what the benefit would be to who. That's a simple thing you guys can do. Now, look, the other thing, when you're doing it this way, because you're an association or a community of state operators, how much more powerful is it when you present that as a community?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's huge, isn't it? You did do a white paper. You have launched tokens. You have got NFTs. So your product, if you were doing that MVP thing, the minimum viable product or the proof of concept or whatever, this is the point. This is why I was excited to work with you guys, because you're way past that. Yeah, you're not doing proof of concepts. You've got products out there that are not just running a stake pool. So a lot of the other stake pool guys I've spoken to, because they're going to be smaller, which is the whole point of this, this project course, whatever you call it, is it's not aimed at big stake pool operators because that's easy. It's aimed at community ones and impact-driven ones. So in that space, though, you guys having a community, look how powerful you are. Yeah, and I'm telling you this because we've got a lot to do tonight. But that would be one of the learnings I'd ask you to think about and look at. Look at all that stuff. Yeah. Does that ring true?
Yeah, it's just to put it together somehow and make it sort of juicy and simple enough so people get it.
Yeah.
Effectiveness, isn't it? A little bit.
Yeah. And that's exactly it. And you've got different views on things and you've got different brilliances. Yeah. So that's the first bit. So that's product. So we're going to leave that one if that's okay. But what needs to happen, very simply, is you just need to pull out all these different products, because they are, and then have some sort of hierarchy and some sort of way of grouping them up. Yeah, because some of them might sit in groups. So you might need to chunk them up. But then also, so like you've got your carbony stuff there, look. Yeah. But all we need to do is just pull these out to extend that list of products. Yeah. Because again, the last time we did this with some of the guys, and again, these were guys that they did have little organizations, but they weren't an association. So they were thinking, yeah, okay, we could have a membership account. We could do education for onboarding. That's all the mycelial network stuff. What you've got is, and this is the point, when you get it running properly, word of mouth marketing for you guys should be huge because you have trust. People will trust you because they know you. So you can extend the reach of the trust out to other people. And then you do consultancy, and I'm sure you do a lot of consultancy. Oh, now what have I done? Oh dear. I think I've broken it again. Oh, that's clever. Oh, I don't know what I did there. Anyway, I managed to put the thing on top, haven't I? There we go. Don't know how we managed that. Right. There we go. Of course, it's not going to do it now, is it?
Oh, no. It was fine, and then you moved it back on.
There you go.
Yeah, now it's good. Yeah.
We'll just leave it off for now. Yeah, so that's that one. So that would be the bit for you guys. Because I did read your white paper, like I say, and it was a brilliant white paper because it gives you the foundation to do this stuff. But again, guys, often you will look at this from a technical point of view, won't you? You'll be looking at the technology. How can we do this? How could we build that? What could we do with the technology next? And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that, but that's that innovation that comes from technology through to product and then out to the market. There's another type of innovation that starts in the market and hoovers up potential customer needs and takes it back through to technology. There's another type of innovation that is about the systems, the minimum viable systems. And another type is the minimum viable community. And that's the brilliance that's in there. So that's product. I would suggest we leave the producty bit now. And then if we go back to where we were. So any questions around that bit?
No, it seems like we've got the product sort of in our sense, in our lines, we've got the product nailed down, really, as you said before, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. And again, if we sorry,
it's just the prioritizing that's difficult.
No, prioritizing is necessary.
Yeah.
It's not difficult because now you're just programming your brain to be negative. That's how your brains work. It's just the software bit is you tell it it's difficult, your brain will make it difficult. Yeah. So in here then, can you see what we did for the market? So this was, do you remember this was the bit that we started with the product, and from the product we span out the markets. Yeah. So then we've looked at the products down below, and then we've said, right, okay, for the market then, if I make this the right way, then this then is our market. So this is the same, this is the full market from the other slide. So this is the one that says, again, look, you know, these are the market bits, catalyst staking, pools, ADA staking. And all we've done then is to flip those across. We've just done a pivot with them. And so now we've got your products down the side, look. And then we've got the potential customers, the markets across the top. Now we've said that these are suppliers, haven't we? It doesn't matter whether you call them customers or suppliers, but the thing to think of is they want to go your way. So there's two ways of doing this, isn't there? If we're trying to get people to go on a journey, one way is we can get a great big cruise ship, yeah, and then we can stuff all the people on the cruise ship and they can all get COVID, yeah. That's one way of getting people to go on a journey. The other way to get them to go on a journey is to have like a flotilla, yeah, with lots of little boats. So your boat is a bigger boat, but it's at the front and it cuts the waves and it sets the way of the journey. And then you've got all the little boats follow you along, but they follow you because they want to follow you. And that's the push and pull. Yeah. So on the cruise boat, you advertise, people come on the boat, and you lock the doors and off you go. They've got no free will. And they can't add much value either, can they? Whereas if you do the pull one where you set out the journey, say where you're going to go, say what it's all about, and then let people know about it and they'll tell each other, they will follow you. And as they start to follow you, more people will follow you. So you end up with more people than you can fit on a cruise ship. Is that helping? Yeah. And so now this is like our flotilla. Yeah. So the boats that are going to be closest to us are people who, like we said, are already in Catalyst and they're staking. Because they're the easiest ones to talk to. The ones behind those are Catalyst guys who don't stake, ADA people who stake, ADA people who don't stake. And then there's a gap, isn't there? And then we're out into crypto stakers, and then crypto holders not staking, and then investors. So that, in effect, is your flotilla, isn't it? Those are the people that your boats can come from. So all we need to do now is really understand they're your suppliers. They're people who want to go on the journey with you. What makes them do that? Why would they do that? So that's what this table is. And again, it's probably got screwed up, but this is the one that's saying, right, in that space then, we looked down the way, haven't we? We've looked down and you've added all the post-its. So there's all the products. If we keep it really simple and just look at stake pool, then we've said, right, okay, these barriers, yeah, are like real walls that you have to get through. Or if we're on our little boat analogy, they're big waves that we have to pass through to get to the closer. People have to pass through them to get closer to us, or we have to pass through them to talk to these people. So the whole point here again is then we can ask the questions, look, If you've got, I'm sorry I can't make the thing move, but forget the first column again. But if we've got people that are already staking in Catalyst, then the question would be, well, why would you stake with us? Yeah. So why would I want to stake with you? If I'm already in Catalyst, I'm already staking, why would I want to use your pool? That's the question you have to ask. And what do they want out of it? A bit like Leon was saying, they either want interest payments or impact investment bonuses or staking bonuses. And then you move out to guys out there that are in the next space. So they're not staking yet, but they do have ADA. And then the question for them is, right, okay, why would I stake then? Why do I want to stake my ADA? And you'll have some answers. And then there'll be people out there that are ADA stakers. They're not in Catalyst. And again, why would they bother? That's the question you always ask. Why should I? And then you'll have some answers. And can you see how that goes? And again, the thing here is to do this table again, not necessarily tonight because we're going to do some other stuff. But the thing to start to think of is you have your product in your white paper. As we move back through, these groups of people who could be in your tribe, they could be in your community. Yeah. Why would they? Why would they be in your community? Why would they be in the community? So why would people who are crypto stakers hold ADA? That's the question they need to have answered. Yeah, I understand crypto. Why would I stake ADA? Now, the point is, if you think about it, this is Cardano's job. A lot of this, you're doing Cardano's job. But the point is, if they don't understand the value of staking, value of owning ADA, they're not in your game park, are they? They're out of your remit. So part of the gig over time is to grow the amount of people who stake ADA. And that means you have to grow the amount of people that own ADA. So this is the education again, I think of it like a little flotilla of the boats sailing off to get to the guys right at the back who are sort of coming along for the journey, but they're not really attached yet. That's the big community. Is that making sense? And what are our thoughts on that?
It's a nice flow chart in a sense to get from one to the next. Sort of, it breaks it down in a way that is more doable. I like things, and it's a good way to think about it.
Yeah. What else we got?
Yeah, it makes sense to me as well. I like it as well. And it as Christian said, into little nub break sizes helps you categorize who you're aiming for, who you tailoring your approach to, because you do speak to people differently, or groups of people and channels. You approach them differently. So if you are approaching a bigger, larger entity, you tailor that information or the way that you would approach them in a different way that is going to respond and resonate with them. And I think just because there's walls and there's steps to follow, I don't think necessarily you would have to necessarily keep that as a barrier. So there might be an opportunity where you're coming across a large institution, and if you're ready, you've got the information, if you prepared yourself to approach this entity, you could get the large investor pool or the investor pool of people and onboard them and jump leapfrog, and a great portion of people, groups of people in between. So I think keeping your mind focused on the different groups is good to separate and tailor, but don't dismiss the bigger entities. Work towards that and fine-tune the information you have as a alliance, as a group that we are. I think we've done that so far. We've done that really well. We've got a reputation, as Devin previously said, and build on that and ground that, and people recognize us in the industry. And I think slightly move away, trying to target a small individual, one person at a time, in a way, especially with the delegators, and focus on being what we're doing, a proud grow Cardano. Naturally, these things will plug in. And when we're approaching a large entity or a DEX or something else, we want to form a partnership with, there's nice and mutual conversation that can go on and say, yeah, we can do this for you, you can do that for that, or we're the authority on sustainability. What are you doing about sustainability, or how can you benefit from being a part of us, you know?
Fabulous. And that's a really good point in there, because and we'll do these things again and again as we go through, you because you repeat it and then you can look at it different ways and learn different things. However, look, this, do you remember I may have said that sometimes we're doing consultancy, which is where the consultant has the framework, and so we check out what you're up to using lots of frameworks. We come up with an answer, and then we take you through the answer, and then off we go. That's again the masculine push energy. And sometimes it's more like exec coaching, where all the brilliance is in your head, and so we ask you the right questions, the brilliant comes out on bits of paper, and off we go. Well, the assumption either way is this stuff isn't rocket science. Yeah, the frameworks we use with Edify and all the rest of it, we've developed over 10, 15 years, and they are powerful, but they're not rocket science. And so what that means then, when we're there, Rick, is you're doing most of this stuff well. You just haven't necessarily broken the framework out to systematize it. And that's often what we do with it. But yeah, the assumption I have when working with you guys is it's a bit like the Olympics. And in the Olympics, as you know, it's about the extra 1%, 1%, 1%, 1%, 1%. And then every now and again, and of course, we always have to use the cycling example, because that's what the Brits did really well, or the English did really well, they got so far with making better bikes and then being incremental by shaving their private parts and stuff like that. And one day they come up with a carbon fiber frame, don't they? Whoever invented that. And then suddenly that's a step change. And then it's incremental. That's what this stuff's like. You're constantly improving it yourselves, but you haven't stopped to systematize it. And that's it's capturing all your brilliance. Yeah.
Because it's almost like we've been doing it unconsciously. So it's not like we're focused and we know what we're doing. It's sort of we're doing it because we've thought certain things are important. But if we can sort of clearly see the bigger picture and understand why we're doing certain things or why we think this is important, then that energy we put in is much more efficient and much more effective. I think that's a good thing, is to have this and see why we're doing and how we're doing it. Definitely makes a difference. Yeah.
Yeah. So any other comments on this bit?
Quite interested in seeing how to take that forward. Actually, I would want to see it through. Once you have your questions, how you take it forward, how you target it, it's all sort of obvious that we all have that in our head. We want to reach other groups. But how do you puzzle it together? Yeah.
Now we can do a bit more of that tonight, or I can give you some homework to take away and have a crack at it. But it's like you said, and just then, Christian, there are different levels to this. So this little level we're looking at here is the people that are your suppliers. Yeah. So they supply you with the fees to delegate, and then you use those fees and you pay them a rate of return. However, like the rate of return may not be they get cash back. You may take some of that rate of return and you might then invest it into, like you said, sustainable projects. And this is where the flip comes in again, because if I'm doing that in your risk, so I've got some I I have some funds. I would like those funds to pay me a rate of return. That means I don't lose money. And any extra rate of return, I'd like to know that they've gone to a good cause, whatever good cause is. And in my world, it's sustainability. So that's me as a delegator. So then I want to partner with somebody that, in effect, I can give the responsibility of solving that problem for. Yeah, so I've got some spare funds. I understand crypto to an extent because I've got funds, and I want to feel that I'm doing good in the world. That's one of my drivers. So one of the risk things then is I want to place my funds in a space where I know it's not greenwash or purpose wash. I know that my funds will actually be allocated in a way that maximizes their sustainability. And this comes back to, I've just been sorting out my pension with BT, my teeny weeny pension that I have with British Telecom. And I have a friend of mine that we used to coach some years ago, their insurance firm. So he's a wealth manager. So what do I want from him? I have a block of funds, and I'd like them to be invested in a way that they grow over time. Hopefully a bit better than average. That's the thing. I certainly don't want to lose money if I can possibly do it. And if we lose money, I want to know that Simon is sort of, if he loses money, then most people are going to lose money. So I'd like things to grow. Well, and we're investing in ethical funds because that's what his gig, that's what he does. So just like you guys, he's much more of an expert than I am about ethical funds, and he's much more of an expert about investing. So when I put those two things together, that's why I use Simon, because now the responsibility that I'm not hurting the planet, that I'm helping the planet. You remember that thing about purpose, people, performance, purpose, we said purpose, sorry, and then planet and profit. Those are the things. So it's totally okay in our worldview to make profit as long as you're not screwing someone else. And that's what I want from Simon. So it's confidence. He gives me confidence that I'm going to get a decent return, but also by investing the cash, other people will benefit. People who I feel should benefit are important. I would say to you, one of the things for you guys, last time you were a bank, yeah, because you're an institution that you could put funds into and get a rate of return on. So that's why the people were suppliers, because they're supplying you with funds, you're using the funds, they're getting a rate of return on the funds. This time you're not financial services in that space. It's still financial services, but this time you're like a financial advisor. Because I'm giving you my ADA and I'm saying to you, look, guys, I would like a rate of return. Yeah, I need to have a rate of return. However, if you can match that to whatever the market rate of return is, so I'm not doing any worse off, and you guys are going to make extra returns, we know that, and that's okay. Can you then please take those extra returns and invest them where they would fit my values best? Well, isn't that a great place to be? And who knows better than you guys?
Well, it's a great place to be until the SEC comes along and says, hey, you're dealing in securities.
This is your problem, and this is it, Devon. This is one of the things for you guys to sort, because do you remember when I said straight away, because I remember talking to people about this a few months ago, and not the cohort, but other people, and they're saying, don't be silly, it's not a financial thingy. And it actually read it a bit last time, didn't we, with the well, no, it's staked, so they don't, the way it's staked, they don't actually have to stake the money. Well, that's a nice technicality, which is brilliant for Cardano and the use case. However, the SEC really don't see the world that way because they want to own it. So they will frame it however they want to frame it to put you in the space that you are under their remit. And that's, again, regulation's different, isn't it? But that's the power play. And for me, that's it's not exactly a fear, but that is one of the concerns, is these guys won't necessarily just walk off. They will stop the benevolent side of the state pool operations. And again, you guys know better than I do what that would mean. But that is a concern, isn't it? If you are positioning yourselves as, well, give us funds, and you don't even have to really give us the money. Oh, and then we'll give you more money. Well, if I was Kinsler, then I'd say, yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah, you are a financial institution, so you need regulating. And I don't know what the answer is to that. You guys are far cleverer than me. However, whilst that bit works in the States and works its way through, the fact is you guys are in a position like my mate Simon, where you have expertise around ethical investing and you have expertise around investing. So I would come to you, wouldn't I? Yeah.
Yes.
And so for me, that's get the product and the surround of the product sorted. Then we can look at the markets that will find that attractive, and vice versa, because it's obviously interactive and iterative. Then we can worry about how do we promote that message. Once we know what the product and the product value is at those different levels, then we can worry about how do we tell people and how do we find those people that care. Yeah. So that would be the bit. So what with that then, Christian, we've still got a few minutes. So what would you were saying that you'd like to sort of nut it out. So tell me specifically what you'd like to know.
I think you actually
is it about the product? Sorry, I'm interrupting. Is it about the product, or is it about the potential markets?
No, I'm more thinking about the communication of it. I think you actually described it a little bit in the last 5-10 minutes.
Yeah.
So I took away a few things from there. I think for a start, I'm feeling now we have a few products there, obviously, and we have a number of experiences as a group, and also, for our founder pools that are with us for a long time, that we can, I think from an experience point of view, we can maybe talk a little bit more about our experience. We use that occasionally, but I don't think we use it sort of in a very coordinated fashion. We mentioned that we have contributed to the Cardano Forest project. We mentioned we have done some carbon accounting, and everything is sort of there on the website, what is probably a bit hard to find or to grasp for people. So if we want a coherent message for a start as a brand, to actually over a longer time period, or I don't know exactly, that's where the marketing comes in, and then the tweets or whatever. I don't know what the medium would be to distribute that, but actually describe that sort of background that we have on the website a little bit, but actually bring it to the various different customers or suppliers that we are thinking about. And I like the description that you provided with regards to, okay, and I agree with you. I think probably similarly, I would say if you invest somewhere, you want someone who has the experience to take, you trust them, and you basically just give them the funds, if you like. You don't really risk anything with it, but because they are good, they are having the heart on the right place, they are probably going to take it into a direction that suits me without me having to do any work for it. And so you have to start with the trust a little bit. So you explain your experience story, and then you, of course, you get a bit of extra value, which we do have, like we've seen with our tokens and so forth. So people can show that they have extra value, and they have some of the information from the project that they can pull out, so they can get involved if they really wanted to see what's happening on the ground. At the same time as they make some ADA returns. Of course, it doesn't really resolve some of our small pool issues. That's always a lingering issue if you're in a community. but we might have to just have a target group that just is happy to, you know, make their normal return in some of our bigger pools, and then maybe we figure out how technically or something it's possible with a shared wallet, to say why don't some of you big whales just put a little bit of in our smaller pools as well to get us over the 1 million mark, and somehow explain this in a good and simple way. I think that's usually that feels the difficult thing.
Yeah, and
like, well, how often do you have to do it? I mean, per day. You know, on Twitter there are certain
again, you're off. Stop.
Yeah, sorry.
Leave the Twitter alone. Put the Twitter down. Back away from marketing and communications. When you
That's what Cardano Foundation always says. Cardano lives on Twitter, so we think in Twitter terms.
Yeah, and that's okay. They're a foundation that pays huge salaries, yeah, for people to play about on Twitter, and it is generational as well. But look, it's a great point, because when you're doing this stuff, there's strategy. Yeah, so there's the vision and purpose stuff. Then so out of the vision comes the operational strategy. Now, the operational strategy in marketing world is around doing the research, yeah, which is what we talked about a bit. So going out, drawing the map, and understanding your own capabilities. That's the marketing strategy. Then marketing strategy is the bit we're talking about. It's understanding what your product is. So what's your product proposition, customer proposition? Who's the target market? So who's the market you're aiming at, your positioning, and what channels are you going to use to get to those people? That's the strategy bit. That's the why and the what. Yeah. So why are we doing this? What are we going to do? The how bit is called marketing communications, and that lives on that little audit thing. That lives below the line. And that's the channel stuff. That's around, well, what type of communications are we going to use to get our message across? So for now, just park that. Because the issue is most people now that do marketing, they're only doing marketing communications. They have no strategy. So they don't ask the why and what questions. All they do is splurge out how stuff. And that's the problem with all the information that's out there on broadcast, is 99% of it dies. Your point, that 80-20 stuff, your point is to get yourselves into the mode of you're only targeting 20% of a market. It's more like 2%, but let's call it 20. You're only targeting 20% of the market. So your gig is how to find and how to get those guys to find you. That's the job. And that's where you're working from your brilliance. That's where you're working with your purpose, your worth, your intent, all that stuff. Because it's easier for you guys to frame that than it is to try and understand what all those millions of people want, because most of them have no idea what they want. I used to love these conversations. Again, many, many years ago when I was in BT, and this was like 2000, before 2000 this was. And one day someone invented text-to-text messaging, yeah? So we sat down with a strategy workshop with the main guys at BT, and they were saying, well, you know, what do we do about email, was their question. The answer was, well, you map out all the types of way you could communicate. So there's letters, emails, texts, blah, 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 voice to text, and then you map that across the top as well. And then you find where the sweet spots are. Yeah. Now, text to text, it was a little, again, diagram like we've got up there. This thing about, they were all worried about email. So email to text, you know, how big's the market, blah, blah, blah. And they started to understand the competition was a letter. Then they said this thing about, oh, you know, well, there's this thing about, you know, sending an SMS to an SMS. Well, no one would ever want to do that. Now, of course, there's a group of white middle-aged males in a room. Yeah. A year later, yeah, the SMS market was worth $1 billion. Because on the little Nokias, someone had put in, you could do SMSs to each other. And suddenly, of course, everyone's texting. But it wasn't the blokes who were 50. They weren't texting each other. It was, again, the kids and certain groups of people. And that's what this stuff's about. if you focus on the comms all the time, if you're always focusing on what channel, the comms channel to use, that's nice, but actually it's more about what's the message. So what's the product? Get that sorted. The channel will sort itself, because one day text to text was worth nothing. 6 months, a year later, it was worth a vast amount, and no one could have predicted it. Well, they could, but few people would have predicted it. I would suggest that's where you guys are with this. It's still too early, isn't it?
Maybe.
Yeah. So it's still too early to know what the products are going to really take off. It's still too early to know what the markets and applications of the products are. And so in a way with the comms, worry about that later. Your bit is we'll do this next time. Your bit is to worry about channel. Because just like you said this, when you go and talk to, let's use a big one, when you were saying about an exchange, but when you're going to go and talk to someone like Friends of the Earth, or Greenpeace, does what binds you together tie your community to their community? Yeah. So if you're Greenpeace, what do they need? With all their members, what do they need?
Well, they want donations, don't they?
And what else?
Products, services to offer to their membership.
Yeah. They've got a set of members who are, and I don't like impact, because again, it's just a nice whitewash word now, but let's use impact because it means business and sustainability impact. They've got members who typically think ahead in a cultural space, i.e. non-tangible space, more than average, don't they? They think more about non-tangible things like pollution, and they think more about the future for those non-tangible things.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you offer? What's your expertise?
Staking services.
Mm-hmm.
Transparency about where profits go and funds go in a way that a lot of the larger charities don't.
Yeah, they've got people, they've got funds to invest, and they have people that have a lot of funds to invest. Now, for them, what would be useful for them to serve their clients is to be able to hook up with somebody who can explain all this weirdo new stuff.
Crypto.
Whatever. And who can do that?
Yeah, we probably have to think about that. We are not, from our point of view, or from my point of view, I'd say I don't feel like an expert,
Yeah, but
feel like,
yeah,
At least that's asking the right question, and we
yeah,
can decide what is the future and the long term angle that we're taking, isn't it? So that if it's just to a project basis, or is it what is those long term goals, and tackle those in the right manner. Yeah,
it's about
I don't think also that we have to be an expert, because
well,
we need to just explain in 1 or 2 sentences.
Yeah, Leon, I think that's a brilliant point. So
because compared to the layperson, compared to the average layperson out there.
That's it. Define expert.
Yeah, no, I was not saying we're not. I think we are experts for someone who is not in the crypto space, and for someone who is not in the environmental space. We absolutely are.
Well, are you experts in the environmental space?
In some aspects, yes. I mean, permaculture, we are.
Yeah, so that's where you come
from.
That's where you come from. So look, I'm going to have some fun with you. I'm conscious of time, but I'm going to have some fun with Christian. So, so I'm not particularly a sustainability expert at all, but I understand systems, and I've worked with sustainability experts for a long time. So there's a bloke who's a fellow at Cambridge, and he came to me 10 years, and he was very unhappy, and we were supporting their program for sustainable leadership. So anyway, this guy comes to me, and he needed some coaching, some personal coaching, because he was unhappy doing what he did. So anyway, it turns out we had a conversation, and the conversation was, okay, I'll call him George. Right, and George, this after a few weeks. Right, and George, why are you so sad and upset? Well, because my friend Fred has gone down to the Antarctic, and he's on a big ship, and they're doing research, and he's in the newspapers again, and he's always on BBC One. Oh, that's sad. Yeah. So where is he in terms of world experts in climate change? Because that was his specialty. He goes, oh, he's going to be in the top 38. Yeah, that's where this guy lives. Great. And you're his best mate. And I get the fact he's a bit arrogant. But if he's number 38 expert in the world, where are you? And he goes, oh, I don't, 39. But great, Stephen. So you're in the tree, you're in a big Christmas tree, right? In your fir tree, and you're looking up, and you're a baboon, and he's a baboon, and you're looking at his bum, and you're unhappy. Look down the tree. How many people like me who, numpties who know nothing, 150, whatever in the world, top 200 in the world, and you're complaining because you're not quite as expertly recognized as your mate. But what good could you do? And he did. What good do you do when you look down the tree? How many hundreds of thousands of people are below you? And that's where you guys are. It's like you said, you only need to be a level above the people that you're working with to add your expertise. But in reality, in creativity terms, when you have 1 degree of freedom is sustainability, and another degree of freedom is understanding blockchain, and another degree of freedom is understanding development, let's call it techie dev, well, that's 3 degrees of freedom. So you're already right in the top of the tree. If you're in the top 200 in the world, top 2,000 in the world, who cares? Compared to most of the people in Greenpeace, they may have domain expertise that's better than you in terms of some of your sustainability stuff. They may have a bit of domain expertise for some of the members in this sort of technology, but how many of them have both sets of domain expertise?
Yeah. Well, we did have obviously connections with some bigger organizations. I think there are some challenges with regards to taxation then, if you talk about all of these things which you have to sort out.
That's a good problem to have.
I don't know. It gives us.
Taxation means you've done revenue. So don't overthink it. Go back into the context. The context is, if I can't trust you guys to sort it out, who can I trust?
Yeah, I think rather than focusing on, what happens if we offer services to other orgs and then have to deal with revenue, I think it's back to just building a reputation. And even if we're not having to do a lot of work, if we have a partnership with a larger org, or if we're useful in some small niche way, we consulted on some small project, the umbrella that gets built, the umbrella of reputation and credibility expands, and eventually that reputation would drive the delegation.
Yeah. And that's brilliant. Now I'm being harsh with you tonight. This is one of those tougher love type sessions, because there's a lot of limitations you've put in your own brains about what you can and can't do. And that's totally okay for where it came from. But this bit then, yeah. So again, so what car do you drive then, Devon?
Tesla. A Tesla.
A Tesla. Great. So when you want your car fixed, what type of garage would you prefer it went to?
Well, they come to my house to fix it, actually.
There you go. Yeah. And that's it. So if they didn't come to your house and you had to send the car off to a garage, what type of garage would you prefer it went to?
A trustworthy garage.
No.
Tesla.
I'm a trustworthy garage. I've never seen a Tesla, let alone interfered with one.
Well, no, that's part of the trust. You have to trust that they know what they're doing with the Tesla. So it's going to be a Tesla shop.
Exactly. Yeah, I can say, don't get into context with me. But your point before is brilliant. And that's the point, isn't it? You want to take it to a garage where you can trust that they know what to do. And that's what it is with Greenpeace and all these other guys. They want expertise. They don't want broad stuff. They want those little bits of expertise. They want specialist expertise like you guys have got. You understand this weirdo finance stuff, and you make a blockchain happen. Oh, by the way, you're also into impact and sustainability. That's a Tesla garage, isn't it?
And I think, figuring out how to use distributed inputs of ADA and get them to a small NGO in Africa that's not onboarded into the payment system, for example, like that little piece, that's one of the many little pieces that could be very useful for scaling for other orgs if they can follow in our tracks.
Yeah.
Is this helping, guys?
Yeah, I think we sort of look past the things that we almost take for ourselves as for granted and think it's sort of nothing in a way, and then just look past the actual achievement or the work that we have done, and miss that expertise or that the value that we spoke of. That's actually a piece of value there that we just brush past.
Yeah, and this stuff about going up in terms of levels of perspective, and it's easy to do. And again, I'll give you lots of analogies tonight, and then we'll stop it a bit. But yeah, there's a friend of mine that I work with in BT, and I coached him when he left and that. This guy started their enterprise business solutions division, yeah. And I sat down with him once because he said, "Oh, Harry, I'm thinking of leaving BT." He was a senior VP and all the rest of it. He goes, "I think I'm going to leave." I said, "Why is that?" He goes, "Well, I don't think I'm really valued very much." He said, "But my concern is I'm not sure what sort of job I could get outside of BT, if I'm valuable or not." So this guy's consistently started some of the most successful parts of BT, and he did it when he was so young that they kept putting in these bosses above him because he didn't have enough of a higher grade to manage the responsibility he'd created. So basically, when I asked him this question, he was rolling out the broadband network in the UK. And I said, "How big is that project?" And he goes, £4.5 billion. I said, "So you don't think you could get a job somewhere else?" And he goes, "Well, I'm not sure." And he's not an idiot, right? He's and he would sack people really quickly and all the rest of it. But he's normalized his performance. Because he just does that day in, day out, he operates at the level he does. He sort of assumes that everyone does that too. It's exactly what you're saying, Rick. He's just gone over the fact that he's done some world-changing stuff for BT. We sat down one time and he actually worked out, he's very modest, and he worked out that he added $1 billion worth of income because he was global. He added $1 billion worth of income to BT every year. And he was thinking, could I get another job? What he meant was, would he be able to show the value he created to another employer? That's actually what he was worried about.
That's about where we are at CNC, right? We're about $1 billion a year. Isn't that what we're doing now?
Yeah, I think it's close to that.
$1 billion sats, maybe.
$1 billion Lovelaces.
Lovelaces.
Yeah.
Easy.
We already handed out 2.8 million CNC ALA tokens, so we're close. Come on.
Here we go. Yeah. So do you see what we're saying for this conversation is the last part of the conversation? What did I say in the last bit? We've talked about you have delegators who are your suppliers, but they're also customers, but let's just say they're suppliers. Who else did we talk about then?
Channels, possible contact points like Greenpeace, for example, we talked specifically about, and whether or not we can provide value to them.
Not whether or not.
How, I suppose.
How
we can communicate the value we could potentially provide.
How could you provide value, and then how could you communicate it? So again, these are guys to think about. They're not customers, they're partners. Because they've got people that could benefit from what you do. So they've got guys out there that could delegate and benefit from delegating. And they've got guys out there who could benefit from delegating with you in a commercial space because they'll be getting more interest than if they put it in a bank, and in an impact space because now they're like my mate Simon who looks after me. They know that if they're investing with you, not only is there a rate of return that pays for their grandkids, but also it's saving the planet for the grandkids.
Yeah.
You know, I will say one thing about people in this space, orgs, namely, they are so good at connecting with each other to leverage this concept of sharing channels. You don't really realize that until you donate some money to one of them. And then all of a sudden, in the mail comes 42 other environmental organizations you've never heard of because they shared your contact info. And man, they are on you like it's on shit.
And that's one of the bits. So what are we going to do with this bit then? So look, I've dropped you in. I'll share it again quickly, just very quickly. I've dropped you in the oh now I've got to work out how to share. Right, okay, it's going to be that one. Yeah, okay. So can you see this?
Yes.
So look,
Yeah.
this is the sort of more refined version of what we were talking about. You may have seen it before or not, but it's the same thing. Look, down the side, you've got the products. Across the top, you've got the potential markets, but it's a bit more easy to understand. So, and this is the one that's got the barriers in there. So if you look at staking pool, what we said was, how would you cross the barrier? Yeah, to get from someone who's got crypto to someone who's got ADA. What do they want to know about? And this is a bit more well-defined version of it. Yeah. And it's just the why question. Why should I invest in crypto? Well, you're going to get alternative earnings, different investment model. Why should I invest in Cardano? Well, there's a network strength. It's been tested academically, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Well, then why should I invest in Catalyst? Why should I pay attention to Catalyst? Yeah. So for me, Christian, those would be go through that again and come up with better answers or better questions. But that's all it needs to be. Just you're having a conversation with someone, and you guys do this all the time. Well, tell them, what is this crypto stuff then? Yeah, because it's when people just get ripped off, isn't it? And you explain, don't you? And then they say, so why should I invest in crypto? Blah, blah, blah. Why should I stake in crypto? Blah, blah, blah. And you answer all those questions. So that's all you've got to do in here. And then we look at it from those different stakeholders. Yeah, because these guys for you are potential shareholders. So they're people that you affect and they affect you. Yeah, so that's your partner model. I would suggest have a crack at it. I would map out, if you can, map out your potential partners, because that's the customer sort of supplier view of delegators. But there is obviously, as you said, there's another model that has got all the potential partners that are going to keep sending you loads and loads of mailers once you've talked to one of them.
Yeah.
That's another customer model, because you're going to add value to them. It's a derived function, but you're going to add value to them through how you're going to add value to their customers.
I think we should definitely, sorry, Harry, but we have two channels that we are sort of, contacting with. There are Cardano channels. I mean, we're going to have a conversation with NewM, which is a partner organization to us already next week. So there will be potentially people asking about, certain questions that we could come up with here and sort of preempt a little bit and so prepare better answers, if you like. And also we were talking with Richard before about, who's not here anymore, but Smart Places is going to launch, and they are going to, put our organization on the map, quite literally. So there are things that we could, provide to those communities that will widen our reach. I mean, at least within Cardano, and I think particularly, both of them actually have a reach outside of Cardano as well, potentially. So there are, I think that's a starting point. The first, like looking at your first layer of more closer kind of range before one defines, wider ADA stakers or, outside crypto. But there could be gatekeepers into that realm and provide contacts there.
And that's the next bit about when we're doing the channel. That's the bit that says the gatekeepers are the ones that worry about the risk. They're not worried about the benefits. They're worried about the risk. Yeah.
Yeah.
Brilliant. So very quickly then, key learnings.
I think we should build a visual map of all our partners and assets and draw visual vector channels between them.
Fabulous. And if you do that on this map for now, I'll create I think I might even have done it already. I'll create the channel map for you, and then we can hook that onto your main board as well, and then we can just dump the stuff into the channel map. That's brilliant. Yep.
Yeah, just to add to that is understanding how we go about that, understanding what we're looking to offer, and fine-tune the long-term vision we have. So that it's not chasing a little bit, like a chicken after a worm in the grass, but we've got a full understanding of what our value is, and why and how that is beneficial to anyone we be in touch with and get in contact with. That will give us a better understanding of how to approach, the right stakeholders and groups that we come across. And we also picked up on that, not trying to brush stroke across the whole entire industry, hoping we catch something. But if we know what we're doing, we can hone in on the 2% or the 20% and really give quality across rather than just quantity. And then that channels or the mediums we use to communicate is just easy enough for us, because we know what we want to communicate. And that is, for me, quite important to understand. This is the crux of it, and just produce that and tailor it for each medium is easy enough to do, as long as we know what it is we're communicating.
Fabulous.
It seems that we have the products, or at least the foundations of the products that we can offer. So we're not in the project development stage anymore. Now now we need to figure out how to use those assets to our advantage, basically.
Fabulous. And who we got? So Leon and Vito.
Yeah, I took a break, so I didn't follow along. I recorded it, big part of it, so I need to listen a bit back. I did understand the part about figuring out what we offer. The main point I have with this is how to sell it, basically, how to convert this expertise, let's say, and knowledge, how to convert it to selling points that you can win over a potential client or a potential charity to be a partner of you.
That's fantastic. And Vito?
Yes, so in addition to what has been said already, I think one of the takes that I have today is the power of divide and conquer, in the meaning that by splitting up, like all these categories that we took a look at, we get to know better our product, what we offer, and through what channels to what people to actually communicate it. So yeah, I think it was a wonderful workshop as well. Like I really liked this one and the last one because they were super insightful. Like nothing against the first ones, but they were like a little bit more introductions. So I understand it's there's a whole process, but yeah, just wanted to give my feedback as well. I really liked it.
Fabulous.
Thank you so much, Harry.
Well, thank you. And Christian?
He's going last.
Yeah, we've got to train him. We've got to train him out of the thinking into the feeling and knowing. He's there.
Yeah, I mean, I think I like that. I mean, we take away sort of that Twitter thing a little bit. Like, I like that you said, okay, we should think very clearly about what we want to do and what the product is one of obviously the repeating phrase that you're coming up with. Why are we doing it? So what the vision is, and then what's our customer base or 2 to 20% kind of crowd that we want to maybe address with the products initially, and only then you think about what kind of methodology you use to communicate to those customers. Obviously, we are quite clearly now, I think, after the last session and this session, the channels are coming up quite heavily. So it seems to be a more obvious way of going about it. That is helpful because it makes it easier to think about solutions of how you get there. If you can just prioritize on 1 or 2 or 3 of those, then if you try to look at everything and just look at Twitter, and how Elon Musk, how can we do it? So I like that. It breaks it down more easily. And we have clearly on the map, we have some clear things to think about and to put the questions and answers to. And we have actually an application, we can use it basically next week. This week, with a couple of, we can test it with our partners already. We just have to, as usual, of course, find the time and the energy to do it. Find a group of people. That's usually the community aspect. That's the difficult part that we have sort of mastered, but it's usually not as fast as we like.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
The acknowledgement is, and I love it, this is always MVP. You're always testing. Yeah, always testing. So now you've done this, and you've got a different way of looking at things that's more explicit than before. You can already go to your partner meetings and not do any more prep, but you will mentally be in a different space when you're looking at them. So even that's a massive value add, I'd say, for you. Yeah. If you can do any more around it, that's even more brilliant. The thing is, like you said, Christian, and so we spent the time doing your purpose to understand your own compass and then your flotilla's compass. And that's all cool, but it's a bit boring, but it's cool. And then the last ones, we've got into, okay, so who are you doing it for then? Who are your delegators? And for me, that's the important thing. Get really clear on who your supporters are. Yeah. And how are you going to serve those guys that are supporting you? And then you can worry about, well, where do you find those people? And like you say, then you can align with the types of channels out there, be it Greenpeace or whoever, who have those clients that you and those delegators, those partners, suppliers that you would like. Because that then will hopefully take you to the right sort of communities, the right sort of channels for you. You would sort of hope, wouldn't you, that the channel, so if it's Greenpeace, that Greenpeace's values would align with yours, so that you would know that when you got to their customers, their members, the members would fit you. That's what you'd hope, isn't it? But if you start being really clear about who you want as partners, as suppliers, as delegators, that makes it much cleaner for you, because you can then look at the organization and say, do we feel that the people these can connect us with are the right people for us?
We also need to, I would like to remind us, we also need to continue to not focus exclusively on who are our delegators, because the mission of this organization is not just to get delegation. The mission is to convert other SBOs to renewables, to minimize the footprint of the blockchain. The mission is also to have an influence on the protocol via Cardano Foundation or IOG or SIPs or Catalyst, whatever means. We have a multi-fold strategy hopefully, we're not just focused on delegators. We're focused on achieving the maximum impact upon the Cardano protocol that we can. And that's going to involve leveraging our influence and our reputation in whatever creates the most impact. It might not be always to do with delegators for our own pools.
And that's a brilliant point. And we can let the group answer, but I'll answer from my point of view. And that's brilliant. However, you're a commercial operation. So if you can't prove that you can make a stake pool operation work without the support of the foundation, then you've got much more limited voice as to your success. So if you can get that bit, the commercial bit running, so that you're a really good commercially successful stake pool association, absolutely, Devin, then all those other aims that you should be doing in parallel, your profile will be much higher, because at the end of the day, IOG is a commercial operation.
It's kind of a cyclical, mutually affecting influence, though, because as you focus on these other areas, that'll also bring delegations. So like you said, I think it needs to be parallel.
Yeah, I think you said that. And the way I see it is you've got your flotilla, and at the moment, at the head of your flotilla is your little set of stake pool operators. And then you've got loads of little delegators behind you. I totally get it. What you're saying is you want to create the impact of SPOs that have anything to do with impact coming to you and being part of you building that movement, basically, which is the brilliance, isn't it? You're trying to build a movement, and that's amazing.
Yeah, I think we already have, I mean, just to follow up on Devin, there is that we already have the connections to the Cardano Foundation. We already have the connection to IOG. We already have proven our point to them, but we are lacking behind because we're not yet successful in terms of the delegators, and that makes them careful about, putting too much, into us, because they'll just think that we're dependent on their, staking and so forth. We haven't hit the clientele yet. So I'm not too worried about the projects and personal contact with them, because we have them, but it's just, they are just waiting for us to kind of stop whinging about being a small pool and actually just running things for them, because that would be the thing that the Cardano blockchain, that's how they see that sustainability could work as a sort of vision for the blockchain. And so far, I don't think they see it. At the moment, we're sort of more like, we are building stuff, but we are not really reaching the clients yet. So that they're looking at that, and that seems like maybe they are not going to put their horses into that either, because they know we're working hard at it, but we're not, obviously we're missing something so far. I mean, we know they are supporting us, but I can feel that who likes to support things that are dragging them down. You want someone that automatically moves forward by itself.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to go in a sec, but in that bit to build on those last 2 points, the whole point about the strategy for this stuff, and this is, so when we run these programs, and we'll talk about some of this later, but we run these programs for 2 or 3 years. Usually this sort of stuff, it runs out for 2 or 3 years, because part of it is what you guys have said. It's a bit like we've been doing with WADA. It's getting you guys positioned so that you are seen as the obvious choice to go and talk to about this space. And when we can pump you up enough that you can show that to the Cardano Foundation, they will talk to you at a different level. And the same with Catalyst, and the same with IOG, and the same with Emergo and other blockchain operators, and your sustainability guys. Part of it is, like we said, it's just showing the brilliance that you've got and you've been building. And how long have you been going, for Christ's sake? Not very long. You guys are, and I mean all of Catalyst really, but all of the guys have done an amazing amount of work in a couple of years, isn't it? What have you had altogether? 6 years probably in this space? Yeah, 2016 or something was when it really kicked off. Well, look what's been built in that time. It's just ridiculously amazing.
Yeah, we exist since 2020. I mean, CNC, it's basically 2 years, really.
It's ridiculous.
3 years, 2 or 3 years, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, and this is why that's my acknowledgement to you guys. You are operating in that strategic space. And that means you're thinking about all those different trees you should be in, not just the research tree or the government tree or the this tree. You're thinking about the different areas you should be in. And you're quite right, Devin. It is a parallel thing. You don't have time to do one and then another, do you? You have to hit all of them at the same time.
Yeah. And we want more trees, that's for sure.
Exactly. But not monoculture trees.
No, different nice trees, absolutely.
All right, guys. Anything else? Have we got our action points?
Yeah.
Indeed.
Definitely.
Have we got loads and loads for Abe to do? Because I'm feeling the Abe quotient's been low recently.
Yeah.
It's not suffering enough. Yeah.
Do we have more stuff for Genti to do?
And then Jonty, we're just starting off in
He's
that.
untouchable.
And Leon, because he's just new today and he still has to kind of, now he has to power through.
I'm buzzing with ideas already, so
yeah, he's hung in there. I'm quite amazed. Yeah, that's fabulous. All right, then, guys.
Right. Thank you, Harry.
So you got your action points. We've got a session next week as well, if that works for you. If we need to take a break, we can do that if you need a week extra. But I'd suggest let's get through it because we're just doing the top strategy bit. The interesting stuff really comes after we've done this bit of program. But yeah, that's cool.
Okay.
I'm glad it was useful. I find these sessions amazing. I learn such a lot.
No, absolutely.
Too. I mean, you're certainly adding a whole new thing to our head and to our brains there with your experience.
Yeah,
the framework.
That's brilliant. Okay, guys, have a fabulous week, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks, Harry. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Harry.
Take care.
Hey guys.
see you.
Cheers.
Bye, everyone. Okay.
Bye. Bye.
Bye-bye.
So I might miss next week depending on what's going on, where I am, and everything.
Yeah.
Just
Well,
We
you
also,
also Jeremy.
Also
Vito.
got that.
I missed him. I was
Yeah.
going to ask how his startup's doing because he's in the thick of it now.
Sorry, who?
Vito, he just left, but I was just going to ask him how his startup's doing.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask him because he needs to update our dashboard. The numbers are not right. They're not high enough.
He just did update it. You checked the new update?
Just looked at it before while we were chatting. Where is it going?
Oh, we do have that noon thing on the Tuesday morning, isn't it?
Yeah, but sorry, the dashboard, coming back to that, it shows we have 52,000 donations. We definitely do not have 52,000. We are nearer to 60,000.
Well, he pulls those off of his
That's the automated part. That's
his
not
wallet query. He pulls the totals off his wallet query.
Hmm.
But it hasn't gone up, and we have clearly donated. So something is wrong. If he only pulls from the two wallets, I can't really see where the error could come from.
Need to check the list on because that's also there's a link to the list where it shows all the columns of each pool. See who's
No, that's Luke. That's Luke's work. That's Renew Pool. But from what I understand from Vito, he's only pulling the target wallets, the two wallets that Casala have, and that he only has to add those up. But we were already at 51,000 a month ago. So somehow it's not continuing to go up. And on my sheet now, I was usually behind his measurement. We should be at least at 58,000, if not more.
58,044 is what you've got in yours.
Where's the link to Luke stuff?
Luke's is, I can put the link here. So I can go through, I haven't gone through his stuff, but we're combining that. I'll put it in the chat here.
Okay.
But that's Luke's stuff. So I'm not quite sure why Vito's stuff is not.
So what's the total Vito has on the dashboard?
52,000. 52,800.
800. Let's check what Elliot has. Okay, so Elliot has 55,164.
What's that for a number? Where does he
Total
come?
total ADA donated, including direct. 55,164.
What date is that from?
That's reflecting all of February's donations, but none in March.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, so I think we should be closer to 60 grand. I mean, we have clearly 3,000 in March already.
So I know what's happened. So Vito's API dies occasionally and he has to restart it. I bet his API died again.
Okay, right. Yeah, because we are 2 months away, so we don't want to look look like standing still on the
Yeah. Let me send him a note right now.
mark. Right. By the way, Leon, I'll post here the Google Sheet for our donations. It's another way of looking at it. Where is it now? What? So this is
There's
the
multiple
menu.
sources of this.
This one here.
sheet,
Sorry.
okay.
If you go in there, you won't be able to edit anything yet until you provide me a Gmail email address, because that's how I can protect it. But you can see everything in there. You can see every pool. Every pool has a separate Excel sheet on the bottom, and you fill in your donations, whatever you're doing.
Okay.
I can add you in there. You're not on there yet, so I need to add you on there.
Okay.
And then on the front, you have a dashboard where you see what everyone donates. But this is the manual one. So we have 2 different dashboards. We have this one where people manually have to go in, and not everyone does that every month. It's not fully up to date. And then we have this automated one we talked about from Luke.
Yeah, this is the one CNC ALA at climate neutral Cardano.
Yeah, it's all CNC. I mean, our project is called CNC ALA. So
Yeah, I know, but I mean the domain name cncala.climateneutralcardano.org is this dashboard.
That's the dashboard. Yeah, that's the one on the website.
Yeah.
And it's just a bit too low at the moment, the total number.
Yeah, good catch, Christian, because it's not the first time the APIs had to be restarted. APIs had to be restarted.
So yeah, if you want to, I don't know if you want to. Obviously, I was hoping he was going to stick around, but yeah, he's busy with his companies, so we know he doesn't have too much time. But he put up this milestone CNFT portal thing. That's nice, actually. Have you seen that? If you go on the dashboard, like every once in a while, there's a window coming up about getting your NFTs.
Oh, the pop-up.
Yeah, pretty good.
Seen that.
If you just wait a couple of seconds when you enter the dashboard, it pops up.
Just stay on the dashboard and it comes up. It's quite good. Don't know how long you have to wait, but
yeah, it's only a few seconds. And then we'll get Leon to fill out the logo business and pool description stuff, the other Google Sheet we've got.
Yeah.
He puts the logo on his website, vice versa, something. So
yeah.
So Leon, are you on the Telegram as well as the Discord?
I am, yes, I am.
Okay, so pinned to the top of the general Telegram channel is a Google Doc that has all the logos.
Okay.
There's one on a black background, one on a clear background, one on a white background. Check out the ones on our website. That's probably the most used one. And see if that goes with your website at all.
I will pick the background that fits, and I will put the logo there on my website.
And the other document that is pinned to that is a Google Doc where all the new pools put in a little bit about themselves, their email address, and that sort of thing.
Description and stuff for your website.
No, not for our website, but just as a kind of anthology of the pool information, so that if we need to email somebody else or something, we have some data there.
Okay. I understand. And for the description on your website, I need to contact Jurek, or?
No, so if you fill it in on that Google document,
Mhm.
we'll then extract that information, take your logo that you upload there, and
Okay.
then onboard you on the website as well. So you'll be one of the pools there. If you go to ISPO pools,
Okay.
you'll be your information will find there.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'll have to do. I have something to do tomorrow then, to go through these documents, and no problem.
Yeah. Feel free to just reach out to us if you got any questions or get stuck anywhere.
Yeah, no problem.
Where in the world are you? Yeah,
I live in Poland at the moment.
Poland. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And just as a point, we generally ask our partners that we when you have your you obviously have a donation page already.
Mhm.
But one of the key things we think Cardano can provide is that we show the transaction ID.
Yeah.
So when you do a donation, that you put a transaction ID on there,
Mhm.
specifically for this project, so we can be very transparent about what's happening, and it's
Yeah.
easy to check for us as well that
Yeah.
the donations have happened.
Yeah.
So I know you put it onto our donation sheet anyway, but if you can somehow integrate it with your website,
Yeah. I
that would be
prepared already a bit. At the moment, I only have cash donations to charities.
Yeah.
But it's prepared for blockchain donations as well.
okay. Good.
How did you hear about us, Leon?
Oh yeah, a lot of searching. Well, not such a lot. You know, this field is interesting to me. You know, like I said before to Christian before you joined, that this is I think it's time to do something. You know, and this is in my field of interest. You know, the whole you know, reforestation. And not only this, but you know, doing something against climate change, and this is part of the reason why I started this pool as well. And once you're in, and you start searching for, you know, you start looking at others. You know, how do others do it, and then of course at some point, yeah, you see the climate neutral Cardano, and you're like, okay, what is this? Yeah. So it's it didn't take long for me to find this alliance, and I'm happy I did. I'm behind it, behind the goals for sure. So I'd like to be part of it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, happy to have you. Yeah.
Happy to have happy.
Thank you. Happy.
Couldn't resist.
Who are the founding pools of this alliance?
You have the founding pools actually in the white paper. If you want, since Harry pointed it out,
I've just seen it. Yeah, just
have a look
I
at the white paper. There's
quite
quite a lot of description in there.
Christian, didn't you learn from Harry? He said nobody reads the white paper, right?
Well, but I expect our active pools, they should have.
It's too long.
Homework
Yeah, well,
assignment.
Yeah.
Christian and Rick and I and Brian pretty much wrote the white paper, so we're always trying to push people to it because there's a lot in there.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Take a
that's-
long time.
Yeah. No, I will go through it as well, to read it. You know, just to have a better understanding, more information.
Yeah, and in 2 months it's going to be out of date, so we kind of have to work something else out. So like,
Yeah.
damn it.
Next.
Yeah, that's gonna be a big decision come 6 month ISPO date where we focus our energies. I'm anticipating, I'm hoping we'll get into that the late stages of Harry's workshop.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think we'll answer our own question in a way. It will become almost, we'll know what we want to do and how we want to approach it. Almost it will come to us. We don't have to force find something. I think once we've got that
But it
clarity.
means we have to keep on running a project. I think we need a project, or we need to continue this project.
It needs to be bigger, maybe as well.
Yeah, think big. Think big.
Scale. Well, so on that note, I'll share with you some sort of recent developments from Teddy Casa Ala that are pretty interesting. So Elliot and Sada are working right now on trying to get 100-hectare site with a 99-year lease from the state which would be to leverage this project into a bigger scale site that they could expand and not necessarily rely on, you know, us, of course, to fund it, but get more visibility, get more impact, spread the practices and the principles. That would be pretty exciting if they achieve that.
I think we probably should expand at least. We need to double up so we can maintain the donations to Tetica Sala for another half a year or so and run another project on the side.
You're just a glutton for punishment, aren't you, Christian?
Sorry?
You're just a glutton for punishment, aren't you, Christian?
Well, come on. But you see it working, you know, they're working.
Well, actually, I guess now that Leon's here, we could do the new project. Leon could just take over the whole CNC project and run that for us.
No problem. No problem.
Yeah. No,
He's new. He needs a project. He needs a role.
This is basically my first day here. You know, I know everything already.
It's trial by fire in this organization.
Leon, you already have 120,000 and you only got 3 delegators. You know, that's not bad.
These are 3 wallets.
If you continue with those big wallets, then, you know, it's not going to take you long.
It's trial by fire in this organization.
It is, it is.
So, yeah.
No, yeah, it's, you know, I can help where I can. I will help where I can, and I hope that after this ISPO, we do find something to focus our energy on, and it better be bigger than this, you know, because there's no point in looking down. Let's say you need to aim higher always, right? So.
But Leon, I give you a task, actually. The one big thing we have to figure out is how to bloody do the votes.
How to do the votes?
Because in 2 or 3 months' time, we need to start voting on the next project.
So to explain, using the CNCala tokens that are held in the wallets, since those don't get deemed for the NFTs at the end of the ISPO, they stay in people's wallets. And the idea is that that's a voting utility token for voting on the next projects. So we have to get behind the technology, how that's going to work with snapshots and the like, or whatever, how that's going to play out to have delegates be able to vote with their tokens.
Yeah, that is, well, I heard that someone wrote a slip about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think Lace Wallet will have some of that functionality coming. That's why I was like, but I haven't really been up to date with it. So surely there is technology out there already, but when it's coming, we need something in 2 months' time or so.
That's good.
You can do it through third-party partners where you just it's like the NFT portal. A number of wallets will work, and it sees what's in your wallet, and it allows you to vote.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, that would be. Then you would also need to decide: is then the stake proportional to the size of your vote, or is it only if you have a stake you have a vote?
Yeah, it will be.
It will be.
For us, it will be. Yeah. Although I think Devin will have a massively big vote.
We just need to keep him busy for the next claim round. So if he gets,
we'll have to keep him happy.
How do you know that, Christian?
Well, you know, you just do the math about how many millions you have and how much you get CNC tokens, and I have drip drops. There's a lot of CNC tokens in
I've
very
never
few
told
wallets.
anybody how many ADA I have.
What is your pledge?
I know most of the ADA in your pool is yours.
Says who?
That pledge of yours. Let me have a look.
A bit of.
Where is it now?
I've never been. It's all hearsay.
We know you a bit longer now, Devin. We're not
a decent. Your pledge is sort of the same. This ARM one has got a massive pledge.
Yeah, that's but you know, at least we have to offer people the assumption that they have a vote. And at the end, we have the direction.
Well, that's why I was asking about the NFT redemptions at the end of the year. It's like, you know, we don't want somebody to clean out all the NFTs in one fell swoop and none left for anybody else.
Yeah, that's why we need the randomization. I think I always liked that one anyway.
Makes
It's-
sense to me. I like
Still,
But first we need the NFTs.
that.
well, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, we have some of them already, so yeah. Let's just connect up on it. And we know now. Oh, wait.